So I'm going to try to give a perspective of the amount of water there is on the earth. And I'm going to use a few familiar objects to represent some large volumes. And it's sometimes impossible for our brains to pick up big numbers with lots of digits. So I'm going to use some familiar objects. Let's start off with planet Earth. This is a basketball, 9.5 inch wide. It's actually a poor example of the Earth because even the texture of these bumps would be greater than the height of the Mount Everest and would almost represent the whole atmospheric skin of the planet. The planet is actually a very smooth blue marble. Maybe a watermelon would have been a better example. But if the world were this size, 9.5 inches across, many of us know that the whole thing is covered, 73% of it is covered with water. More of the surface of the earth is water than is land. But how much water is that? So, thanks to the scientists at the United States Department of Geological Studies, they crunched a bunch of numbers and allowed me to come up with this comparison. All the water of the planet, if it were the size of a basketball, would fit in a droplet the size of this kumquat, about 1 inch across. Now, most of this water is all the waters of the world. That's the oceans, the polar caps, and all the surface waters. Most of this water is in the ocean and is salty, and much of it is frozen in the polar caps. Of all the water that's in the hydrologic cycle on terrestrial land, all that water would fit into a droplet the size of this blueberry. That's 3% of this kumquat. And that represents all of the water, all of the fresh water, all of the water that's not in the ocean. And it includes a great deal of water that's frozen up on top of mountains and glaciers, and a great deal of water that's underground and inaccessible. So, of this water, and I can put my ball down here, of this water, most of it being inaccessible, the amount that's represented in surface waters, streams, rivers, and lakes would fit into a droplet the size of this elderberry in comparison to an earth the size of that basketball. This is all the easily accessible surface water on the planet. It's about as small a juicy thing as I could come up with, this elderberry. And surprisingly enough, as small as this seems, it's 25 million times the amount of water that we all need a day. The 7.8 billion of us times 100 gallons a day times 25 million is the juice of an elderberry. So the other reassuring thing about the elderberry is that it's constantly being refreshed and renewed through other surface waters and back into the oceans and the planetary water cycle. So that, in effect, this amount of water is moving through the system once a week, every week of the year, all year long, being refreshed and renewed for Earth's living systems.
Legend has it we could be legends, etched in the stone, forever on thrones. History's made in the moments. Heroes collide.